the US Department of Defense released a strategy to combat a potential zombie apocalypse. When you think about the possibility of a zombie apocalypse, what comes to mind? For most people, thoughts of Hollywood movies is what they think of. These movies have given rise to a fear of zombies in popular culture. Zombies are depicted as relentless monsters that crave human flesh, and some even believe that a real-life zombie apocalypse could happen. As it turns out, it's not just zombie movie-obsessed people who have plans set in place for a zombie apocalypse. Shockingly, so does the US Department of Defense. In 2011, the Department of Defense actually released a strategy to combat this potential apocalypse. The Counter-Zombie Dominance Plan, also known as CONPLAN 888811, stated in its first line, this plan was not actually designed as a joke. The history of the US Department of Defense, also the largest government agency in America, goes back to the American Revolutionary conflict, and according to the official agency website, its mission is to provide the military forces needed to deter conflict and ensure our nation's security. Apparently, this agency, with a national defense budget of $752.9 billion and 4,800 sites in over 160 countries, saw it necessary to create a plan in case of a zombie apocalypse. The CONOP 8888 files. The origins of the CONOP or CONPLAN 8888 files may have started around 2010, when officers in the Joint Operational Planning and Execution System realized the benefit of creating a plan for a zombie apocalypse. Making these plans helped these young new officers use their critical thinking skills to develop creative strategies to fight the potential threat. According to the Pentagon, our intent was to place this tool into the wild so that others who are interested in finding new and innovative ways to train planners could have an alternative and admittedly unconventional tool at their disposal that could be modified and updated over time. A spokeswoman for Strategic Command, Captain Pamela Kunz, even added, "This document is not a US Strategic Command plan." So, what is in these mysterious files? There are 3 parts to the strategy. The first step that the team laid out is to create a plan to protect humanity from the zombies. This would include monitoring areas with a high level of infection and consider where the most significant threats are. The second step is to create procedures to eliminate the zombie threat. This would include creating a vaccine and distributing it to the people. Finally, as the third step, the plan is to restore order to a conflict-torn economy. In the case of a zombie apocalypse, the government does not expect law and order to remain for long. However, when the zombie threat is eradicated, the government has a plan to bring back social stability. The plan even laid out 8 classifications for the zombies. These included zombies created by pathogens in the air, evil magic zombies, zombies created by an unknown source, zombies who only ate grains, and chicken zombies. There is actually some evidence for the existence of chicken zombies, as in 2006, there was an incident in California where chickens who were put down by carbon monoxide began walking around until their bodies succumbed to organ failure. On top of laying out the classifications of different possible zombie types, the files also laid out a plan to handle the legal ramifications that could possibly come about from attacking zombies. The plan showed that military laws prohibiting violence only apply to living humans and animals. Therefore, they would not have rights if the threat were genuinely the undead. While this plan might seem fantastical, the Department of Defense is not the only government agency that has used the popularity of zombies as a learning opportunity. In fact, the Center of Disease Control also released a zombie preparedness plan to prepare the public for what to do if an actual zombie conflict broke out. As it turns out, there is a fine line between fact and fiction, and at times they work together hand in hand for the benefit of all. These zombie files stated, because the plan was so ridiculous, our students not only enjoyed the lessons, they were able to explore the basic concepts of plan and order development, fact, assumptions, specified and implied tasks, references, very effectively. Perhaps the greatest mystery of the plan is why more agencies are not creating zombie contingency plans. The world is a strange place. So are, at times, the people in it. New shocking discoveries fuel passion and intrigue every day. We love learning about them, even if they make our stomachs churn or challenge what we think we know to be true. Government agencies creating plans for zombie apocalypses would seem like a plot in a science fiction movie, but alas, it's real life. A mysterious house turning out to be not so mysterious is also something truth seekers must deal with at times. One thing is for sure, there is never a dull moment in the hunt for answers to the world's most mysterious questions.
In the age of the internet, YouTube has become a platform where creators share content ranging from the mundane to the extraordinary. Among these creators was a YouTuber known as Funky Fathead, who gained a modest following for his eclectic mix of content, including technology tutorials, paranormal investigations, and explorations into the unknown. Funky Fathead's channel took a dark and mysterious turn when he posted a video demonstrating how to open a portal. Shortly after uploading this video, Funky Fathead vanished without a trace. He states in 2 earlier videos that there appears to be a fracture in space in his bedroom caused by 2 different frequencies. He blends the 2 frequencies in his most current video, displaying what seems to be a Sedona doorway. He was known for his mysterious videos, often pushing the boundaries of conventional knowledge. In one of his final videos, he claimed to have discovered a method to open a portal using specific frequencies and a generator. In the video, Funky Fathead explained that he had stumbled upon ancient texts and modern scientific theories, suggesting that certain sound frequencies could alter the fabric of reality. He demonstrated how to use a generator, showing viewers the specific frequencies needed to create what he described as a resonant field capable of opening a portal. As the tones played, the camera captured strange visual distortions. The room appeared to shimmer, and objects near the tone generator seemed to vibrate. Toward the end of the video, a small portal appears to open. Following the upload of his final video, the user vanished. Concerned fans and fellow YouTubers attempted to contact him, but received no response. His social media accounts went silent, and repeated efforts to locate him through official channels yielded no results. News organizations reportedly tried to get in touch with him, but were unable. Researchers studying the paranormal have suggested that he might have been singled out and instructed to cease publishing because of the mysterious portal that he purportedly established in his video. One commenter noted that even if the videos were fake, they still got people interested in the topic, which might have been the reason for his disappearance. Strangely enough, many people have vanished over the years after being open and discussing these subjects. This has led some to speculate that there may have been involvement from higher powers. The most sensational theory is that Funky Fathead successfully opened a portal and stepped into another dimension. Supporters of this theory argue that the visual and audio phenomena captured in the video provide compelling evidence that he managed to manipulate the fabric of reality. They suggest that he may be trapped in another realm or exploring an alternate universe, unable to return. Skeptics propose that the video was a cleverly crafted hoax, using digital effects to create the illusion of a portal. They argue that Funky Fathead may have staged his disappearance to generate buzz and intrigue, capitalizing on the viral potential of his video. According to this theory, he could be living under a new identity or planning a dramatic return to the public eye. The disappearance of Funky Fathead, following his mysterious video on opening a portal using a computerized tone generator, remains one of the most strangest stories in the digital age. Whether viewed as a genuine experiment gone awry, a masterful hoax, or a manifestation of personal struggles, the case of Funky Fathead captivates the imagination and challenges our understanding of reality. In 2016, a young German adventurer named Andrzej Ciesielski embarked on a daring journey to climb one of the world's most iconic structures, the Great Pyramid of Giza in Egypt. Known for his urban exploration feats, Ciesielski's ascent was both dangerous and illegal, given Egypt's strict laws on climbing the ancient monument. Yet, despite the risks, Ciesielski successfully climbed to the top of the pyramid, capturing breathtaking photos and videos of the surrounding landscape. However, his adventure became more than just an adrenaline-fueled escapade when he made a peculiar discovery: strange bricks placed alongside the pyramid's larger stones near its summit. These unusual bricks distinct from the rest of the pyramid's ancient construction, sparked curiosity and speculation about their origin and purpose. Could they be part of a modern restoration effort, or do they hint at something more mysterious? Ciesielski's discovery of the strange bricks near the top of the pyramid adds a new layer of mystery to this ancient structure. While the majority of the pyramid is made from massive limestone blocks, meticulously cut and fitted together, these bricks appeared different in both size and texture. Their placement among the larger, ancient stones raised questions about whether they were part of the original construction or had been added at a later date. Andrzej Ciesielski's decision to climb the Great Pyramid was driven by his love of adventure and exploration. Despite knowing the risks involved, including the possibility of arrest or injury, he carefully planned his ascent. With a GoPro camera in hand, he began his climb in broad daylight, undeterred by the watchful eyes of security guards or the Egyptian authorities. As he neared the top of the pyramid, the view became more striking, with the vast desert stretching out in all directions and the bustling city of Cairo in the distance. However, it was during this final stretch of his climb that Ciesielski noticed something strange: bricks that did not match the ancient stones around them. These smaller, more modern-looking bricks seemed out of place on a structure that had stood unchanged for thousands of years. Intrigued by the discovery, Ciesielski took several photos and videos of the bricks, capturing their odd placement among the pyramid's massive limestone blocks. His images, later shared on social media, sparked widespread interest and speculation, with many wondering what the presence of these bricks could mean. There is little documentation to confirm whether these specific bricks were part of an official restoration project. Egypt's Supreme Council of Antiquities is responsible for overseeing the preservation of the country's ancient monuments, and while they have carried out repairs on the pyramids, the exact details of every restoration effort are not always made public. It is possible that these bricks were placed during a lesser-known restoration phase or added to stabilize a portion of the pyramid that was damaged. Another possibility is that the bricks were placed there by individuals unauthorized to make alterations to the pyramid. Throughout history, the Great Pyramid has been the subject of vandalism and unauthorized modifications, from ancient tomb robbers to modern-day adventurers. Ciesielski's discovery has fueled speculation among those who believe that the strange bricks may hold a deeper significance. Some theorists have proposed that the bricks could be evidence of a cover-up or hidden modification to the pyramid, suggesting that they may conceal a secret chamber or entrance. The idea that the Great Pyramid contains undiscovered rooms or passages is not a new one, as modern technology such as thermal scanning has revealed anomalies within the structure that have yet to be fully explained. Shortly after Andrzej Ciesielski's daring climb of the Great Pyramid and the discovery of the strange bricks, people uploaded his footage and photos to various social media platforms, including YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. The video captured stunning panoramic views from the top of the Great Pyramid and provided a close-up look at the mysterious bricks that had piqued his curiosity. For a brief moment, his adventure captivated audiences worldwide. Urban explorers, history enthusiasts, and conspiracy theorists alike were drawn to his discovery, sparking debates about what these peculiar bricks could mean. However, not long after the video went live and began gaining traction, something unusual happened. The footage started disappearing from multiple platforms. Several of the most popular social media sites, as well as certain websites hosting Ciesielski's video and images, began removing the content without explanation. Viewers who attempted to watch the video were met with broken links, video unavailable messages, or vague claims that the content violated terms of service. This sudden removal sparked widespread speculation and further deepened the mystery surrounding Ciesielski's climb and the strange bricks he had uncovered. The removal of Ciesielski's video from social media platforms raised immediate suspicions. People began to question whether the footage had been deliberately censored or taken down at the request of an official entity, such as the Egyptian government or a private organization connected to the Great Pyramid. After all, the Egyptian government has long enforced strict laws regarding access to and preservation of its ancient monuments, and climbing the pyramids is illegal and punishable by severe fines and imprisonment. It is possible that Egyptian authorities pressured social media platforms and websites to remove the footage as it documented an illegal act. However, the rapidity and widespread nature of the removals left room for other interpretations. The fact that the video wasn't just removed from mainstream social media platforms, but also from lesser-known websites that had featured the content raised eyebrows. Many started to wonder if there was more at play, perhaps a coordinated effort to suppress information about the strange bricks Ciesielski had documented. Some speculated that the footage had uncovered something that certain parties did not want the public to see, whether it was related to modern restorations, undisclosed modifications, or even the long-standing mysteries surrounding the Great Pyramid's purpose and construction. The swift removal of the video fueled a range of conspiracy theories, particularly among those who have long believed that there is more to the Great Pyramid than what has been publicly acknowledged. The disappearance of the video was seen by some as evidence of a cover-up, an effort by certain authorities or organizations to control what information about the pyramid is made public. According to this line of thinking, the strange bricks Ciesielski found near the top of the pyramid could represent something far more significant than a mere restoration project. One theory that gained traction was that the bricks might be concealing a hidden chamber or entrance, potentially one that had been discovered and sealed off by archaeologists or government officials without public disclosure. The Great Pyramid has long been the subject of speculation regarding its hidden chambers and passages, with some believing that it may contain undiscovered rooms holding ancient knowledge, treasure, or even artifacts of advanced technology. Given this context, the removal of Ciesielski's footage appeared to some as an attempt to prevent further scrutiny of this particular area of the pyramid. Deep within the dense forests, a man stumbled upon a giant wall, a mysterious structure that has sparked intrigue and speculation. The story begins with a man, an avid hiker and amateur archaeologist who frequently explored the Siberian wilderness. On a particularly long expedition in the summer, the man said that he ventured deeper into the forest than ever before. As he navigated through the thick underbrush and towering trees, he came across something utterly unexpected, a massive wall, partially obscured by vegetation but unmistakably artificial in its construction. The wall, which many have said is stretching over a mile in length and standing approximately 20 meters high, appeared to be made of large, tightly fitted stones. Despite the passage of time, the structure showed remarkable integrity, with only minor signs of weathering and erosion. The stones suggest a level of engineering sophistication that seemed incongruous with the known history of the region. The man's discovery quickly attracted attention. After documenting his find with photographs and videos, he shared the information with social media groups in order to get to the bottom of the mysterious structure. A team of archaeologists and historians was assembled to investigate the site, hoping to uncover the origins and purpose of the mysterious wall. The initial examination revealed several intriguing aspects. The discovery of the wall has given rise to numerous theories and speculations. Megalithic stone walls are renowned for their construction techniques, which often involve the precise cutting and fitting of massive stones. Some of these stones weigh several tons, and their placement would have required significant manpower and advanced engineering skills. The stones are typically fitted together with such precision that a knife blade cannot be inserted between them. Some researchers believe that certain megalithic walls were constructed as part of religious or ceremonial sites. The precise alignments and orientations of the stones in relation to astronomical events suggest that these structures may have had significant cultural and spiritual importance. The presence of similar construction techniques and architectural styles in different parts of the world raises questions about cultural interconnections and the spread of knowledge. While it is unlikely that these ancient societies had direct contact with each other, the similarities in their constructions suggest parallel developments in engineering and architecture. This phenomenon could be attributed to shared human ingenuity and the universal challenges of building durable structures. One of the most prominent theories suggests that the wall is the remnant of an ancient civilization previously unknown to historians. This civilization, perhaps contemporaneous with or even predating known cultures such as the Scythians or the Mongols, might have constructed the wall for defensive purposes, as a territorial marker, or for ceremonial use. The scale and sophistication of the construction imply a society with advanced engineering capabilities and organizational skills. Some researchers have proposed that the wall could be a natural formation the result of unique geological processes, or possibly even placed there. They argue that the regularity of the stones and their arrangement could be explained by natural fractures and weathering patterns. However, the precision of the construction and the presence of inscriptions make this theory less convincing to many researchers. In the realm of more speculative theories, some have suggested that the wall could be evidence of extraterrestrial influence. Proponents of this idea point to the inexplicable engineering techniques and the use of non-local materials as indicators that the wall might have been constructed with the assistance of or inspired by visitors. While this theory captures the imagination, it lacks empirical support and is generally not favored by the scientific community. The discovery of the giant wall in Siberia has significant implications for our understanding of history and archaeology. If the wall is indeed the product of an ancient civilization, its discovery could necessitate a re-evaluation of the history of human settlement and development in Siberia. It might reveal new insights into migration patterns, technological advancements, and cultural exchanges in prehistoric times. Such a finding would enrich our understanding of human history and the complexities of early civilizations. The investigation of the wall has also highlighted the importance of integrating modern technology with traditional archaeological methods. Techniques such as ground-penetrating radar, 3D imaging, and drone surveys have been employed to explore the site more comprehensively, allowing researchers to gather detailed data without intrusive excavation. These advancements could revolutionize the field of archaeology, enabling more precise and less invasive exploration of historical sites. This United States program spent millions of dollars investigating stargates and wormholes. The history of the United States is intriguing. Investigators have been able to uncover some of the US's most dubious actions over the years. This dubious past is what has caused some people to demand further explanations. You only discover that reality is stranger than fiction when you begin looking into and studying some of these investigations that they conducted. Numerous declassified documents have been leaked online over the last few years. Interestingly, most of these leaks occurred covertly. Nonetheless, amateur researchers have poured many hours into poring over these old records, and while some of them only summarize irrelevant information, others are true eye-openers. One of the more intriguing ones that was made public through declassified networks and the Freedom of Information Act described how the US government had used tax dollars to study topics such as stargates, wormholes, cloaking technologies, and high-energy weapons. These documents alone show that funding was provided for 38 covert government programs. The rest of the paper, up to page 38, describes dark energy and warp energy. Researchers found the metamaterials for aerospace application to be particularly noteworthy. Metamaterials are defined as materials that unidentified flying objects have left behind. According to a different expert, the US government has been studying these subjects for some time and is making progress towards interplanetary travel. The fact that the government will gladly spend taxpayers' money on these discoveries but then withholds the information from the public, a practice that many believe is unfair given that the public funds these initiatives, is one of the things that irritates people about these discoveries. Furthermore, as several amateur researchers have noted, these are only the initiatives that we are aware of. There are probably hundreds more out there that we are unaware of and will never get published. It is to be expected that numerous documents such as this are available online, the problem being that finding them can be a challenge. Approximately 13 million pages of US Central Intelligence Agency declassified records were made available online back in 2017. Project Stargate was one investigation that caught people's attention. The Stargate project, conducted by the US government during the Cold War, remains one of the most intriguing and controversial programs in modern history. Officially, it aimed to investigate the potential for psychic phenomena, such as remote viewing, to be used in intelligence gathering. The Stargate project began in the early 1970s, primarily driven by concerns that the Soviet Union was investing heavily in psychic research for espionage purposes. In response, the US Central Intelligence Agency, along with other intelligence agencies, initiated their own program to explore the potential of psychic phenomena, particularly remote viewing, as a tool for intelligence gathering. Remote viewing is the practice of attempting to perceive distant or unseen targets using extrasensory perception. Proponents of the practice believe that individuals can acquire information about a person, place, or object without the use of traditional senses. The CIA contracted the Stanford Research Institute in California to conduct experiments and develop methodologies for remote viewing. The Stargate project employed various methodologies to test and refine the practice of remote viewing. The experiments typically involved a viewer who would attempt to describe a hidden target, which could be a location, object, or even a person, based on minimal or no information. Two of the most famous remote viewers associated with the Stargate project were Pat Price and Ingo Swann. Price, a former police officer, and Swann, an artist and psychic, claimed to have exceptional remote viewing abilities. Their sessions reportedly produced highly accurate descriptions of secret military installations and other targets, garnering significant attention from the intelligence community. For instance, in one experiment, Price was asked to describe a Soviet site based on its coordinates. He provided detailed descriptions of the layout and activities within the site, which were later corroborated by satellite imagery. Similarly, Swann's remote viewing sessions included detailed sketches and descriptions that aligned with known details of the target locations. The experiments were conducted under controlled laboratory conditions to ensure the validity of the results. Double-blind protocols were used, where neither the remote viewer nor the experimenters knew the target in advance. These measures were intended to eliminate bias and chance as explanations for the remote viewer's successes. As mentioned, the United States swiftly funded and launched Project Stargate out of concern that the Soviet Union had discovered a new kind of spiritual technology. The program's specific goals included studying the phenomenon of remote viewing and employing psychic soldiers to gather data from various locations on Earth without physically being there. In 1972, the Stanford Research Institute, based in Menlo Park, California, started conducting research on remote seeing. Before someone could be admitted into the study, the principal researchers, Harold Puthoff and Russell Targ, stipulated that their estimates had to be accurate to a minimum of 65%. They also claimed that many of the participants fared better than this threshold, albeit not all of them were perfect. Rosemary Smith, a psychic involved in the operation, was able to identify a lost Soviet spy plane in 1976, shortly after it started. Over time, the crew also received claims of returned high-value targets. Due to claims that the research group's findings were accurate because of independent detective work done outside of its purview, the CIA administration cancelled Project Stargate in 1995 due to advancements in satellite and surveillance technology. The CIA believed the project was a publicity stunt. In spite of this, many people think that the project continued and that this technique is still in use today. Though such subjects may seem utopian, we have evidence of their existence, and the government agency was sufficiently convinced of them to commit hundreds of millions of dollars to the programs. We will never be able to know the result of these trials or what would happen to the individuals who took part. One of the problems people have is trust. For decades, the public has been questioning government officials about these initiatives, and each time they have been questioned, they have denied that they ever occurred. However, it has now come to light that these kinds of projects have been under investigation all along. This is the primary cause of the public's lack of trust in politicians when they discuss these kinds of subjects. A few have even expressed doubts that most of these studies actually came to an end, stating that it is more likely that they were simply renamed under a different project and are probably still being explored today. In the vast expanse of the Antarctic wilderness, where ancient secrets and the snow-covered landscape stretch endlessly, there exists a realm of mystery and intrigue. It is within this frozen realm that our story unfolds, a story of a man who stumbled upon an extraordinary discovery, only to vanish without a trace. A man by the name of James McClellan sat in front of his computer screen, scouring Google Earth for anomalies in the Antarctic terrain. Interestingly enough, a number of anomalies have been discovered all around Antarctica throughout the years, and most of them end up on social media pages that are dedicated to studying mysterious phenomena. The man detailed that as he zoomed in on a remote region of Antarctica, he couldn't believe what he was looking at. He described that nestled amidst the snow and ice was a peculiar formation, a perfect circle standing out against the stark white backdrop. The moment his discovery of the UFO embedded in the snow in Antarctica hit social media, it ignited a firestorm of speculation, fascination, and intrigue unlike anything seen before. As word spread like wildfire across platforms such as Twitter, Facebook, and Reddit, people from all corners of the globe weighed in with their reactions, theories, and opinions. Social media users said that this is one of the clearest UFOs that has been found in Antarctica, while some users shared jokes, poking fun at the idea of extraterrestrial visitors in the icy wilderness of Antarctica, while others delved into deep discussions about the implications of such a monumental discovery. Facebook became a battleground of competing narratives, with users passionately debating the authenticity of the find. Posts flooded timelines, with some users sharing news articles and photos of the UFO, while others dismissed it as a hoax or a misinterpretation of natural phenomena. Oddly enough, although this photograph seems too good to be true, amateur researchers pointed out that this isn't the first time that an unidentified object has been found embedded within Antarctica's ice. Reports of UFOs embedded in the snow of Antarctica are as elusive as they are intriguing, with accounts dating back decades and spanning the furthest reaches of the continent. Witnesses describe encountering strange metallic objects protruding from the ice and snow, their sleek surfaces glinting in the faint polar light. Some describe the objects as disc-shaped, while others report seeing cylindrical or triangular craft buried beneath the frozen surface. One of the most compelling pieces of evidence for UFOs embedded in the snow of Antarctica comes from satellite imagery captured by various space agencies and private organizations. Images depicting anomalous shapes and formations hidden beneath the ice have surfaced, prompting speculation about the nature and origin of these mysterious sightings. Some suggest that the objects may be remnants of crashed spacecraft or ancient artifacts, while others propose more outlandish theories involving extraterrestrial visitation and government cover-ups. In recent years, advances in technology and the proliferation of satellite imagery have fueled renewed interest in the phenomenon of UFOs embedded in the snow of Antarctica. Researchers and enthusiasts scour satellite images in search of anomalies, hoping to uncover evidence of hidden truths lurking beneath the frozen surface. And while some dismiss the sightings as natural geological formations or optical illusions, others believe that they may hold the key to unlocking the mysteries of the universe. One of the challenges in unraveling the mystery of UFOs embedded in the snow of Antarctica lies in the remote and inhospitable nature of the continent itself. With vast expanses of uncharted territory and harsh environmental conditions, conducting thorough investigations into reported sightings can be logistically challenging and resource-intensive. Yet, despite these obstacles, researchers and explorers continue to brave the elements in search of answers, driven by an insatiable curiosity and a desire to uncover the truth. One of the most tantalizing theories to emerge from the investigation into UFOs embedded in the snow of Antarctica is the notion of ancient civilizations or lost civilizations hidden beneath the ice. Proponents of this theory point to satellite imagery showing geometric shapes and patterns that appear to be of artificial origin, suggesting the presence of intelligent design. Some speculate that these ancient civilizations may have possessed advanced technology or knowledge far beyond our own, and that their legacy may still be buried beneath the ice, waiting to be discovered. In addition to ancient civilizations, some theorists suggest that UFOs embedded in the snow of Antarctica may be evidence of extraterrestrial visitation. According to this theory, the continent may serve as a hotspot for alien activity due to its remote location and inhospitable environment. Sightings of UFOs and unexplained phenomena in the region are cited as evidence of extraterrestrial presence, with some speculating that the objects buried beneath the ice may be spacecraft or artifacts left behind by visiting aliens. Despite the tantalizing nature of these theories, the truth behind the sightings of UFOs embedded in the snow of Antarctica remains elusive. Skeptics argue that the sightings may be the result of natural geological processes or misinterpretations of satellite imagery, while others dismiss them as hoaxes or delusions. The mysterious UFO presence above Antarctica. The history of UFO sightings above Antarctica dates back to the early days of polar exploration, when intrepid adventurers ventured into the uncharted reaches of the southernmost continent. Tales of strange lights dancing in the sky and mysterious objects darting among the clouds became a staple of Antarctic lore, passed down through generations of explorers and researchers. Yet, it was not until the advent of modern technology and satellite imagery that the true extent of UFO activity above Antarctica began to emerge. In recent years, a growing number of reports and sightings have been documented, sparking renewed interest and speculation among scientists, researchers, and UFO enthusiasts alike. One of the most compelling pieces of evidence for UFO activity above Antarctica comes from satellite imagery captured by various space agencies and private organizations. Images depicting anomalous objects and unexplained phenomena have surfaced, raising questions about the nature and origin of these mysterious sightings. In one notable incident, satellite imagery captured by NASA's Earth Observing System revealed a series of strange, disc-shaped objects hovering above the Antarctic continent. The images, which quickly spread across social media and online forums, sparked intense debate and speculation about the possibility of extraterrestrial visitation. Similarly, reports from Antarctic research stations and expeditions have recounted encounters with unidentified aerial phenomena, further fueling speculation about the presence of UFOs in the region. Witnesses describe seeing bright lights in the sky, erratic movements, and other inexplicable phenomena that defy conventional explanation. Theories abound as to the origin and nature of these mysterious sightings. Some suggest that the UFOs observed above Antarctica could be of terrestrial origin, such as secret military aircraft or experimental technology being tested in the remote reaches of the continent. Others speculate that the sightings may be evidence of extraterrestrial visitation, with Antarctica serving as a potential hotspot for alien activity due to its remote and inhospitable nature. Yet, amidst the speculation and conjecture, one thing remains certain. The sightings of UFOs above Antarctica represent a tantalizing mystery that continues to elude explanation. Despite advances in technology and our understanding of the universe, the true nature of these mysterious phenomena remains shrouded in mystery. One of the challenges in unraveling the mystery of UFOs above Antarctica lies in the remote and inaccessible nature of the continent itself. With vast expanses of uncharted territory and harsh environmental conditions, conducting thorough investigations into reported sightings can be logistically challenging and resource-intensive. However, efforts to study and understand UFO activity above Antarctica are ongoing. Scientists and researchers continue to analyze satellite imagery, gather eyewitness accounts, and deploy cutting-edge technology in an effort to shed light on the strange phenomenon. During the early expeditions to Antarctica, tales of UFO sightings became woven into the fabric of exploration lore, adding an element of mystery to the already daunting challenges of navigating the icy wilderness. From the late 19th century onwards, as explorers ventured deeper into the uncharted reaches of the continent, reports of strange lights in the sky and mysterious objects hovering above the horizon began to surface. Mr. Alberto, a researcher posting updates about the mysterious Nazca Mummies, has just come forward and said that a new discovery that was made a few hours ago is going to completely rewrite human history. Mr. Alberto said there is a giant head among the biological finds from Nazca, of a humanoid being approximately 8 meters in height, adding that new X-rays will be released which will change human history forever. This is just the latest update to come from this region in regards to the mysterious Nazca Mummies. The Nazca Mummy claims center around a series of bizarre humanoid remains allegedly unearthed near the Nazca Lines by a team of Peruvian and international researchers. These purported mummies, described as small, humanoid figures with elongated skulls and unusual features, have been presented as evidence of an ancient pre-Columbian civilization that predates the Inca Empire. But as of right now, this 8-meter-tall humanoid is by far the biggest one that's been discovered. The initial reports of the Nazca Mummies sparked widespread skepticism and controversy within the scientific community, with many experts dismissing them as elaborate hoaxes or products of modern tampering. However, as more evidence and documentation have emerged, many researchers have begun to take the claims more seriously, recognizing the potential significance of the findings if proven authentic. In the United States, scientists and archaeologists have started to investigate the Nazca Mummy claims with a cautious but open-minded approach. Recognizing the need for rigorous scientific analysis and verification, Teams of researchers from institutions such as the Smithsonian Institution and the University of California, Los Angeles, have expressed interest in examining the alleged mummies and associated artifacts. One of the key areas of inquiry for American scientists is the authenticity of the Nazca mummies and their potential cultural and historical significance. Using advanced techniques such as radiocarbon dating, DNA analysis, and CT scanning, researchers hope to determine the age, origin, and biological characteristics of the mummified remains, shedding light on the people who created them and their place in ancient Andean society. The esteemed expert in forensics, Dr. John McDowell, has actively participated in the investigation concerning the purportedly non-human mummies discovered in Peru. Dr. McDowell said that in the initial phases of their research endeavour, they were granted access to all the resources that had been requested, and this was done without any concealment or secrecy. This transparent and open approach marked the genesis of their investigative journey. Dr. John McDowell boasts an illustrious military career, having served as a former colonel in the US Army and being the recipient of numerous accolades from the US Department of Defense. Furthermore, he holds the esteemed title of Professor Emeritus at the University of Colorado and has notably held the prestigious position of President of the American Academy of Forensic Sciences. In recognition of his significant contributions to the field of forensic sciences, Dr. McDowell was honored with the prestigious 2024 Gradwell Medallion, a distinguished award widely regarded as the highest form of peer recognition within the forensic sciences community. The most capable team from the United States is currently present in Peru, actively engaged in on-site research on the human remains. If granted the necessary permissions and resources to continue their investigation effectively, there is a promising prospect of uncovering valuable insights and revelations. This esteemed group, renowned for their expertise and dedication, is devoting meticulous attention to examining the archaeological remains in Peru. Among the group was Dr. James Caruso, Chief Medical Examiner and Coroner of the City and County of Denver, Colorado; Dr. William Rodriguez, Forensic Anthropologist, Maryland State Medical Examiner, and previously mentioned Dr. John McDowell, Retired Professor at University Colorado, Forensic Odontologist. Dr. John McDowell said that they could have not been more professional and that data was made readily available to them. Ever since the controversy surrounding the Nazca mummies emerged, a notable player in opposition to the investigation has been the Peruvian Ministry of Culture. Firm in their stance, they have consistently contended that these preserved remains are merely elaborate dolls crafted by grave robbers with the intention of illicitly profiting from their sale on the underground market. During a recent presentation, a representative from the Ministry of Culture made an unsuccessful attempt to disrupt the proceedings. It appears that there was an expectation for Moussan and his team to physically present the mummified bodies at the event, a misconception that was swiftly dispelled. However, as the presentation unfolded, crucial insights were provided by American scientists who were present, offering their long-awaited expert analysis on the matter. This ongoing saga underscores the deep-rooted skepticism and divergent perspectives surrounding the authenticity and significance of the Nazca mummies, highlighting the complex interplay of cultural preservation, scientific inquiry, and commercial interests in such contentious archaeological debates. Dr. John McDowell, a respected retired professor and forensic odontologist from the University of Colorado, stands out as a prominent figure among his peers and took the lead in representing their collective stance. Their unanimous conclusion emphasized the urgent necessity for thorough investigations into the bodies in question, firmly refuting any claims of their authenticity. This pivotal revelation paves the way for academic institutions to delve deeper into the examination of the Nazca mummy specimens. Such a critical juncture not only underscores the significance of further scrutiny, but also highlights the potential for a multitude of scholarly establishments to engage with these samples, facilitating additional comprehensive studies and analysis. It's just been announced in the last few days that 2 new Nazca humanoids have been discovered, and oddly enough, their fingerprints are said to be completely different to that of a human's. Upon viewing the images, a significant number of individuals expressed their profound admiration, highlighting the challenging nature of replicating a fingerprint, as attested by many observers. The intricate details captured in the photographs left a lasting impression, with viewers acknowledging the complexity involved, adding that it would be very difficult to fake a fingerprint. In a profound reflection on the Nazca discoveries, a user highlighted the distinct physical and biological attributes that define our individuality. This observation shed light on a novel revelation concerning these remarkable findings. Delving into the depths of these Nazca discoveries, the user emphasized the significance of recognizing the unique traits that set us apart as individuals. Amid recent revelations, it has come to light that the Peruvian government is facing a substantial lawsuit amounting to $300 million. The heart of this issue lies in the lack of assistance provided by Peruvian authorities to those delving into these significant discoveries. Instead of support, the investigators have encountered adversity in the form of insults and discreditation hurled at them by officials who have gone so far as to label them as deceivers. In a secluded area of Peru, the story takes place as indigenous inhabitants chance upon a remarkable spectacle, an unconventional item, partly concealed in the ground. Upon thorough examination, they discover what seems to be the remnants of an extraterrestrial entity, a humanoid form displaying unfamiliar physical traits like elongated extremities, a large skull, and uniquely non-human attributes. The locals, taken aback by this find, promptly inform the authorities, sparking a wave of intrigue and investigation. This discovery incites a profound fascination among the populace as scientists, researchers, and curious onlookers flock to the site to scrutinize and unravel the mysteries surrounding this enigmatic being. In the midst of escalating curiosity surrounding the alleged extraterrestrial being, a team of dedicated researchers sets out on an exhaustive and thorough investigation, delving deep into the intricate details of its physical characteristics and makeup. As they meticulously examine every aspect, a particular focus is placed on the hands of the enigmatic creature, revealing a fascinating discovery, a set of fingerprints that defy all known patterns observed in the human species. This unprecedented revelation sparks a new wave of intrigue and raises profound questions about the origins and nature of this mysterious entity. Through a meticulous examination of the extraterrestrial being's fingerprints, researchers have unveiled intricate patterns characterized by distinct ridges and whorls that elude any resemblance to established human fingerprint archetypes. The baffling uniqueness of these prints has left experts puzzled, hinting at a potential divergence in evolutionary lineage or a wholly distinct origin for the enigmatic creature. The unveiling of the distinct fingerprints on the extraterrestrial body sparks intense debates and conjecture, not only among scientists, but also in broader circles. Doubters cast shadows of uncertainty on the genuineness of the discoveries, casting doubt on both the trustworthiness of the examinations and the validity of the assertions. The emergence of these peculiar fingerprints on the alien organism has set off a maelstrom of discussions, with various factions offering contrasting viewpoints on the matter. Proponents advocating for the discovery assert that the existence of distinct fingerprints offers convincing proof regarding the extraterrestrial source of the alien entity. They highlight the detailed procedures and thorough examination carried out by specialists, reinforcing the credibility of the results. This breakthrough prompts profound inquiries into the essence of life outside our planet and challenges our comprehension of the universe. The presence of these unique fingerprints not only supports the claim of the alien body's origin from beyond Earth, but also invites contemplation on the potential implications for humanity's perception of existence in a vast cosmos. Others have questioned whether these discoveries are hybrids. The reported identification of an extraterrestrial being possessing distinct fingerprints carries profound implications for humanity's perception of the cosmos and our position in it. Should this discovery be verified, it would mark a significant advancement in our pursuit of comprehending the enigmas surrounding life beyond Earth. Such confirmation would not only represent a groundbreaking achievement, but also challenge established beliefs regarding evolution and the biological realm, prompting a reassessment of the potential diversity and intricacies of organisms existing elsewhere in the universe. This revelation has the potential to reshape our understanding of the vast expanse of the cosmos and the potential existence of life forms that differ significantly from those known to us. The breakthrough has the potential to transform the field of forensic science significantly and revolutionize the way fingerprint analysis is approached, presenting fresh perspectives on the origins and variety of life in the vast universe. Delving into the unique characteristics of extraterrestrial lifeforms' fingerprints may reveal valuable insights into their evolutionary trajectories and biological diversities, contributing to a deeper understanding of the intricate mechanisms that shape life across the cosmos. Scientists have just announced that scans on the two aliens presented in Mexico suggest that they are not assembled or manipulated. Scientists and academics, in their ongoing effort to maintain credibility and uphold scientific rigor, have refuted the veracity of the findings presented by these researchers, regarding them as yet another publicity stunt. In Mexico City, medical professionals working at a laboratory conducted X-ray and CT scans on the bodies, utilizing advanced imaging techniques to examine and analyze them in detail. In terms of uncovering the truth behind the alleged hybrid bodies found in Mexico, it is important to note that José de Jesus Zalqui Benitez, the director of the Health Sciences Research Institute of the Secretary of the Navy, led the investigations and concluded that there was no evidence of assembly or manipulation of the bodies. This finding directly contradicts previous suggestions that the bodies were constructed using a combination of animal and human bones. As curiosity surrounding the alien body grew, researchers decided to subject it to a series of scientific tests, including X-ray imaging, to reveal its internal structure and composition. The X-rays unveiled startling details about the creature's anatomy, including a peculiar metal implant lodged in its neck, a discovery that only deepened the mystery surrounding its origin and purpose. The presence of the metal implant fueled speculation about the creature's origins and its potential connection to extraterrestrial beings. Some suggested that the implant served as a tracking device or communication device, allowing the creature to interact with its alien counterparts or navigate unfamiliar terrain. Others proposed more sinister explanations, such as experimentation or manipulation by unknown forces. The purported discovery of an alien body in Peru and the revelation of the metal implant have profound implications for humanity and our understanding of the universe. If confirmed, the discovery could represent a paradigm shift in our understanding of life beyond Earth, confirming that we are not alone in the cosmos. Speculation abounds about the origins and motivations of the alleged alien body, with theories ranging from interstellar travelers to clandestine government experiments. Some suggest that the creature may have crash-landed on Earth in a UFO, while others propose that it may be a genetically engineered being created by advanced civilizations. The possibility of extraterrestrial life has long intrigued humanity, fueling speculation, fascination, and scientific inquiry. Imagine a scenario in which this age-old question is definitively answered, and the existence of intelligent beings from other worlds is revealed to be real. The revelation of extraterrestrial life would constitute a seismic shift in our scientific understanding of the cosmos. For centuries, humanity has pondered the question of whether we are alone in the universe. The confirmation of alien life would validate the notion that life is not unique to Earth, but rather a common occurrence throughout the cosmos. This paradigm shift would revolutionize fields such as astrobiology, astronomy, and planetary science, prompting new avenues of research and exploration as scientists strive to understand the nature and diversity of extraterrestrial life forms. The discovery of extraterrestrial life would catalyze a wave of technological advancements as humanity endeavors to study, communicate with, and potentially visit these newfound neighbors in the cosmos. Breakthroughs in space exploration technologies, such as faster-than-light propulsion systems, advanced telescopes, and interstellar communication devices, would enable humanity to venture further into the cosmos and establish contact with alien civilizations. Moreover, the need to protect Earth from potential threats posed by extraterrestrial visitors would spur the development of enhanced planetary defense systems and surveillance technologies. Alien disclosure would have profound cultural and societal implications, reshaping our collective worldview and sense of identity. The revelation that we are not alone in the universe would foster a sense of cosmic interconnectedness and solidarity among humanity, transcending national borders, political divides, and cultural differences. It would inspire a newfound sense of wonder and curiosity about the cosmos, igniting a global renaissance of science, exploration, and discovery. So, what do you make of this new announcement? Be sure to leave your questions and answers in the comments section below and help us to grow this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos. A mysterious occurrence has recently taken place in Alaska. An anonymous man's trail camera, set up to capture images of wild reindeer, unexpectedly recorded what appears to be a large Bigfoot in the background during the daytime. The man said that he had set up his trail camera deep in the Alaskan wilderness with the hope of capturing footage of the local wildlife. His goal was simple: document the presence of reindeer and other animals that frequented the area. However, what his camera captured on one occasion was far from ordinary. When he later reviewed the footage, he was shocked to see the unmistakable silhouette of a tall bipedal creature in the background, a figure that bore a striking resemblance to the legendary Bigfoot. Trail cameras, commonly used by hunters, wildlife researchers, and nature enthusiasts, are motion-activated devices that capture images or video when movement is detected. These cameras are typically placed in remote locations and left unattended for days or even weeks, allowing them to capture candid shots of animals in their natural habitat. Trail cameras are popular in places like Alaska, where the dense wilderness makes it difficult to observe wildlife directly. For the man, his trail camera had been placed in a secluded area known to be frequented by reindeer. The camera had captured numerous images of the local wildlife, including wolves, bears, and, of course, reindeer. However, on one particular day, the camera recorded something far more unusual. In the background of one of the images, a large, upright figure appeared, walking on two legs. The figure's size and posture immediately caught the man's attention, as it did not resemble any known animal in the region. Upon closer inspection, he realized that the figure looked strikingly similar to descriptions of Bigfoot. What made this sighting particularly notable was that it occurred during the daytime. Many alleged Bigfoot sightings take place at night, often in low-light conditions, which can make identifying the creature difficult. The fact that this figure was captured in broad daylight gave the image a level of clarity rarely seen in Bigfoot sightings. The creature, standing upright and walking on two legs, appeared to be moving through the background, perhaps unaware of the trail camera's presence. The creature appeared to be covered in dark hair, and its posture suggested a natural bipedal movement, distinct from that of a bear or any other known animal in the region. The man, who had no previous interest in Bigfoot or cryptozoology, was initially skeptical of what he saw. He reviewed the image several times, comparing it to known animals in the area, but nothing matched the size, shape, or movement of the figure in the background. Convinced that the image depicted something unusual, he decided to share the photograph with online communities that investigate Bigfoot sightings and other unexplained phenomena. After the man reviewed the photograph captured by his trail camera and realized that he might have caught a Bigfoot on film, his curiosity was piqued. Not content with merely relying on the image, he decided to investigate the site where the large, bipedal figure had been seen. He hoped that by returning to the exact location, he could gather more evidence and perhaps determine just how big the creature in the photo really was. Armed with a measuring tape, camera, and a keen eye for detail, he set out to the spot where his trail camera had captured the mysterious figure. His goal was to compare the creature's size to the surrounding trees and objects visible in the photograph, offering a more accurate estimate of its height. What he found on that day not only reinforced his belief that the figure could indeed be a Bigfoot, but also provided an important clue about the creature's massive size. Upon arriving at the site, the man carefully reviewed the photograph again, using the nearby trees in the background to pinpoint the exact location where the figure had been standing. Based on the creature's position relative to several distinct trees visible in the image, he was able to identify the precise area where it had passed through. One of the first things he noticed was how close the figure had been to a large tree, which provided a useful reference for estimating its height. The tree stood tall, towering over the surrounding brush, and had a noticeable forked branch that appeared in both the photograph and in real life. By examining where the top of the creature's head lined up with the fork in the tree, he could make a rough estimate of the figure's size. Additionally, other objects in the environment, such as a nearby bush and a fallen log, helped provide further context. Once he had located the exact spot where the creature had been standing, the man measured the tree and compared its height with the position of the figure in the photograph. According to his estimates, the top of the creature's head reached just below the forked branch of the tree, which was over 8 feet off the ground. This meant that the figure itself had to be at least 8 feet tall, possibly even taller. The man was stunned by the sheer size of the creature, as no known animal in the area, even a bear standing on its hind legs, could reach such a height. The figure's height, combined with its upright posture and bipedal movement, only deepened the mystery. There was no logical explanation for such a large, upright being, unless it was either a hoax or something entirely unknown to modern science. Given the remote location and the fact that no signs of human activity were present, he quickly ruled out the possibility of a person playing a prank. As the man continued to investigate the area, he carefully searched for any signs that might suggest a human presence or a hoax, but he found none. There were no footprints, tools, or discarded items that might indicate someone had been in the area setting up a fake sighting. The trail camera itself was set up far from any frequently traveled paths, in a remote part of Alaska where few people venture. This made it highly unlikely that a person would have been walking through the area at the exact moment the photograph was taken. In addition, the creature's movement and posture in the image seemed natural and unhurried, as if it were simply passing through the area, unaware of the camera's presence. The man concluded that the figure was too large and too well proportioned to be a person in a costume, particularly given the difficulty of moving through the rugged terrain in such an outfit. The more he analyzed the scene, the more convinced he became that the creature in the photograph was not human. When the man shared his findings with online communities, his estimate of the creature's height only added to the excitement. Many Bigfoot researchers and enthusiasts pointed out that reports of the creature's height often ranged from 7 to 10 feet, aligning with the estimate provided by the trail camera photograph. The figure's size, combined with the clear daylight image, made this sighting particularly compelling. Several enthusiasts suggested that the man's investigation of the area had strengthened the case for the sighting's authenticity. By returning to the scene and providing measurements, he had done what few others had, provided a concrete reference point for the creature's size. While many Bigfoot sightings are accompanied by vague descriptions or blurry images, this sighting stood out due to the clear context provided by the surrounding trees and landscape. The community's response also sparked further discussions about the potential for Bigfoot to inhabit remote regions like Alaska. The dense forests, towering mountains, and expansive tundra provide ample cover for such a creature to live undetected, making Alaska one of the most plausible locations for Bigfoot to thrive without frequent human interaction. The idea that a creature of this size could exist in the wild, avoiding capture or clear documentation, was intriguing to many. The trail camera's photograph, combined with the man's on-site investigation, added another layer to the ongoing debate about the existence of Bigfoot. While many remain skeptical of Bigfoot sightings, this particular encounter had several factors in its favor. First, the clarity of the image, taken during the day and showing a clear silhouette, set it apart from the many blurry or inconclusive images that often accompany Bigfoot claims. Second, the man's decision to return to the scene and gather measurements added credibility to the sighting, as it provided a tangible way to estimate the creature's size. For Bigfoot researchers, this sighting offered valuable data that could be compared with other reports and sightings in the region. The fact that the figure appeared to be at least 8 feet tall aligned with many other descriptions of Bigfoot, and its upright posture and movement through the wilderness were consistent with known patterns of reported sightings. As of right now, the man's trail camera, initially intended to capture images of reindeer, ended up capturing something far more extraordinary. The figure that appeared in the background of his photograph, standing tall among the trees, remains a mystery. With an estimated height of over 8 feet, the creature did not match any known wildlife in the area, leaving many to wonder if this was indeed a sighting of the legendary Bigfoot. Joshua Maddox. In 2008, Joshua Maddox, then 18, was a typical Coloradoan living in Teller County's Pike National Forest. He loved nature and hiking, so when he left to go on a walk one day, nobody thought anything of it until he failed to return that night. For months after Josh vanished, people conducted searches all throughout the region in the hopes of finding him alive, or at the very least, learning more about his possible whereabouts. He was on the missing persons list for years, nevertheless, and was never located. In an apparently unconnected sequence of events, a builder chose to demolish an old, dilapidated cottage in the woods that had been abandoned for more than 10 years in order to start developing the land it stood on in 2015. The builder entered the cabin for the first time in a long time before it was demolished to make sure everything was in working order. He noted that the cabin smelled strongly of rot and decay, but he put it down to the numerous animals that had taken up residence in the dilapidated structure over the years. However, as the demolition process began, with the chimney being disassembled in order to salvage the bricks, workmen were shocked to find a young man's body inside, which they assumed was the cause of the stench. Joshua Maddox's body was positively identified by his dental records, which the police and coroner used to identify and remove the remains. Given that Maddox was discovered in a fetal posture, with his feet above his head and his legs curled up under his chest, detectives surmised that he may have become stuck while attempting to explore the abandoned building. There are many who disagree with the coroner's estimate, despite the fact that the autopsy revealed no signs of trauma or suspicious chemicals and declared the passing to be accidental. For instance, the heavy breakfast bar that had been forcefully taken from the wall and dragged in front of the chimney to hide it had vanished, as had the heavy metal grate that had covered it. The fact that Joshua willingly went up the chimney head first and that his clothes were discovered folded inside the cottage close to the fireplace further puzzled people. When he'd entered the chimney, all he had on was a light thermal shirt. The authorities never found out what had really happened, and the case is still unsolved. Omar bin Omran. A scary video captures the moment police found the hiding location of a man who was supposedly taken in 1997 while still a teenager. On his way to vocational school in Algeria, Omar bin Omran, then 17 years old, disappeared. It wasn't until Sunday, May 12th, that police were able to track him down. Since then, footage of Omran's finding has been aired on Algerian television networks and shared on social media. In the video, Omran, who has grown facial hair, is seen peering up into the torchlight from what looks to be the hay-surrounded pit in the ground. Omran, who is now in his 40s, was discovered in what appears to be a sheep enclosure beneath the floor. Omran was discovered about 300 feet from his own family's home, which added to the discovery's astonishing nature. The 61-year-old man suspected of holding him captive made an attempt to escape after his discovery, but he was apprehended and placed under detention in custody. Omran went missing in 1997 during the height of the Algerian Civil War, and his family thought he had disappeared and believed that they would never see him again. On the other hand, his mother is reported to have maintained hope until her passing in 2013. Following a dispute over inheritance, the brother of Omran's alleged captor, who was reportedly employed as a public servant, suggested on social media that he might have been involved in Omran's disappearance, prompting investigators to reopen the investigation. After searching the man's house, the Algerian National Gendarmerie found the trapdoor concealed behind the hay. A court official discussed the discovery, saying that the National Gendarmerie was ordered to launch an extensive investigation, and officers proceeded to the property in question by the General Prosecutor of the Court of Idrissa in the province of Jelfa, following this complaint. The suspect will be presented to the Public Prosecutor's Office immediately after the investigation is concluded, and the Public Prosecutor's Office ordered that Omran receive medical and psychological treatment. Omran was brought to a hospital when he was found, so he could receive both medical and psychological care. The El Kabar Daily reported that Omran said he could see his family members from a window where he was being held, but that he felt as if there was a strong power inside him, preventing him from calling out. The vanishing of Timothy Pitson. 2011 saw the disappearance of Timothy Pitson. In Aurora, Illinois, his father dropped him off at school, but shortly after, his mother Amy took him on a 3-day excursion to an amusement park. During this journey, Amy Fry Pitson ended things. She was later discovered in a Rockford, Illinois hotel room. Timothy was supposedly safe with individuals who would take care of him, but the mother said that she would make sure that he would never be seen again. Timothy was the sole child of Amy and James Pitson, born in 2004. That May Day, Amy pretended to have a family emergency when she excused Timothy from class. She then brought her 6-year-old son to the zoo and the Key Lime Cove Resort in Gurney. Following that, on May 13th, they travelled to the Kalahari Resort in Wisconsin, where they were last observed on security tape. Since he went to pick up Timothy and was informed that she took him before the school day on May 11th ended, James had been trying to get in touch with his wife out of fear for what was happening with her and their son. Amy Fry Pitson called her mother, brother-in-law, and other family members to confirm that she and Timothy were okay, but she did not return any of James's calls. In the evening, Timothy's mother went to the neighborhood dollar store and bought paper, pens, and envelopes. She took too many antihistamines either that evening or the next morning, which resulted in wrist injuries. On May 14th, she was discovered without Timothy in sight. Tragically, the cops discovered Timothy's blood in considerable amounts inside Amy's automobile. According to a second relative, Timothy frequently suffered from nosebleeds, which may account for the blood traces found in the car. James Pitson clings to the hope and fervent conviction that his son is still alive, somewhere, and still looking for him. Regretfully, there was a scam about his resurrection in 2019. Authorities were notified by Newport, Kentucky residents who reported seeing an adolescent running across the Ohio River Bridge and wandering the streets. When the cops discovered him, he was upset and inconsolable and identified himself as Timothy. The next day, though, the Louisville office declared on Twitter that the boy was not Timothy. Rather, he was Brian Michael Reaney, a 23-year-old who had spent 14 months in jail and had been a resident of Ohio's Belmont Correctional Institution just a month earlier. A spokesperson for the Aurora Police, Sergeant Bill Rowley, said that although they are disappointed that this turned out to be a hoax, they remain diligent in their search for Timothy. Nevertheless, Timothy Pitson has not been located as of yet, and there is no indication as to his current whereabouts. In Mexico, there are 43 missing pupils. On September 26, 2014, 43 students vanished from Iguala, Guerrero, Mexico. After being taken against their will, the Ayotzinapa Rural Teachers College students disappeared. The case sparked a global uproar that led Guerrero Governor Angel Aguirre Rivero to step down from office. 43 students reportedly traveled to Mexico City as a memorial act for the 1968 Tlatelolco Plaza and a protest against what they perceived to be biased hiring methods for teachers. The students also reportedly traveled on many buses, which the police attempted to stop with firearms and barricades. It's unclear what exactly happened before the students were apprehended, but they were taken by the Mexican criminal syndicate Guerreros Unidos. After having a team of experts look into the matter in 2015, the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights has questioned the Mexican government's official account of what happened. The experts found after a 6-month investigation that the government's claims were scientifically impossible. The government claims that the students were detained after being misidentified as criminals. José Luis Abarca Velázquez, the mayor of Iguala, and his spouse Maria allegedly planned the disaster while belonging to the Democratic Revolution Party. According to this allegation, the two were against the students interfering with the city's campaign events, and this served as their incentive for committing the crime. They were apprehended in Mexico City for taking out the political activist Arturo Hernández Cardona, but they were neither penalized or tried for the disappearance of the missing students. Felipe Flores, the head of the Iguala police force, was arrested in 2016, along with the mayor and his spouse. 2014 saw the discovery of plastic bags containing remains in a Coquila River. It was believed that these remains belonged to the students who vanished. The University of Innsbruck successfully examined the charred remains of 2 students, while the remaining students are still listed as missing. More than 80 possible suspects were detained as a result of this case. 44 of the 80 suspects were dishonest police officers who were said to have abused their position of trust and authority. Many views exist on what transpired, with some people holding the view that there was a government cover-up. Some say there was involvement from the Mexican army itself. Guerreros Unidos, the primary criminal leader, was formally detained in 2020 on suspicion of being connected to what happened. Founded in 1926, Ayotzinapa College is a male-only institution. There is a history of political activism among the college's students. Students at the college are allegedly well known for taking buses and delivery trucks. Some college students assert that their momentary and routine seizure of trucks and buses, a symbolic act intended solely for protests and returned after usage, therefore not technically stolen, was acceptable. Because they are accustomed to the college's methods of handling protests, the authorities typically ignore this and turn a blind eye. The students claim that this is the only way to get the government to take notice of their protests. Although the college disputes this, authorities think the students may have connections to rival political organizations. It is still unknown today what actually happened to all 48 of the pupils or where their remains are kept. The aforementioned Iguala police chief received a prison sentence in 2021 for his role in what happened to the students. Though there are still too many unanswered questions, reporters and investigators are working to piece together the true events of that September day. It is not every day when a seemingly ordinary 25-year-old vanishes. In 2013, Canadian Army reservist Prabdeep Srawn disappeared with little clues about what may have happened. Today, it is one of Australia's biggest mysteries. At the time of his disappearance, Srawn was studying on the Gold Coast in Australia when he left for a touring holiday, which he planned to finish off in Melbourne. Of all the possibilities, only one thing is known for sure: he drove a van to Charlotte Pass and never returned with it. The New South Wales police called off the search for Srawn after only 2 weeks, a decision his family was outraged by. They continued their own investigation into Srawn's disappearance by funding private searches. His own cousin and sister flew to the Snowy Mountains to organise search parties in the hopes of finding out what happened. Unfortunately, Prabdeep has never been found. On the day of his disappearance, 4 other hikers set out to make the same journey that Srawn had planned just a few hours earlier. The group had run into a blizzard on the trail that made them take shelter in Seaman's Hut, the only shelter on the top of the trail until they began again the next day. The group did not see any sign of Srawn. One clue about Srawn's disappearance is that on a laptop found in his van, he had been extensively researching Australia's second highest mountain, Mount Townsend. While the trail was far off from the main track, Srawn had not been carrying a sleeping bag or tent, meaning if he set out to complete the trail, he had meant to finish it that day. He did not expect anything to ruin his plans. Since his family lived so far away from the location of his disappearance, they had to rely on the help of locals for the search. The family even offered $250 a day to volunteers with a grand prize of $100,000 if Srawn had been found, alive or not. This brought many searchers to the area who were hoping to find Srawn and earn the reward. According to Sydney man, Dave Jarvis, many searchers were unhelpful and were just in it for the money. Jarvis himself estimated that he spent about 80 days on the search and had actually lost money looking for Srawn. Unfortunately, the significant efforts to find Srawn did not lead to his discovery, and 2 years after he went missing, the New South Wales Coroner's Court declared Srawn loss of life by misadventure. The authorities rejected theories that Srawn intended to hurt himself, as all evidence suggested he lived a happy life and had plans for the future. His family still holds on to hope that without a body to confirm his fate, he may still be found alive. As they said in a released statement, miracles do happen. Agent Orange. Agent Orange is a herbicide and defoliant chemical that was used extensively by the US military during the Vietnam War. Its primary purpose was to eliminate forest cover and crops that provided sustenance and concealment to North Vietnamese and Viet Cong troops. However, the use of Agent Orange has left a legacy of environmental destruction and severe health problems that persist to this day. In Southeast Asia, defoliants were first used by Britain as a military strategy. That occurred in Malaya, a British colony, until it gained independence and became Malaysia in the early 1950s. Chemicals were sprayed into the Malayan forests by British bombers in an attempt to take down trees and deny cover to communist rebels. Additionally, they destroyed the insurgents' food supply, which included crops. A decade later, in the then South Vietnam, American military troops used many of the same tactics in their protracted war against militants from the Viet Cong and North Vietnam. An area of South Vietnam roughly the size of Massachusetts was treated with 20 million gallons of herbicide by American delivery planes between 1962 and 1971. This operation, which went by the code name Ranch Hand, peaked between 1967 and 1969. Over the years, a number of series have revisited the significant historical event. Agent Orange, a combination of two herbicides, one of which turned out to be contaminated with a very dangerous strain of dioxin, it was named for the color of a stripe that girdled the barrels in which it was shipped. Executives from chemical companies and Washington bureaucracy argued at the time that there was no cause for fear. They claimed that Agent Orange did not damage people. Those promises began to sound increasingly vacuous as the 1960s went on. In lab animals, researchers discovered indications of birth abnormalities. Scientists from the United States and other countries started to protest the spraying. Protests against the war itself gained traction alongside a growing opposition to the herbicide campaign. The last Agent Orange spraying was done in 1970. Up until January 7, 1971, when the entire herbicide program was abandoned following a final ranch hand run, other chemicals were still being employed. However, Agent Orange's impact was just getting started. Even after 50 years, its influence is still rather strong. Vietnamese people take it practically as gospel that hundreds of thousands of their children suffer from serious birth deformities as a result of American aerial and ground spraying, which they believe contaminated their environment and may have done so for decades to come. There isn't enough evidence to say for sure whether that is true. However, in recent years, the US has reluctantly acknowledged its role in helping to clean up hotspots for dioxin, such as former US military installations that housed herbicides. At the former Da Nang Air Base, a facility constructed in the United States began operations last month. Heats above 600 degrees Fahrenheit will be applied there to dioxin-contaminated soil, which is thought to render the toxin harmless. It is intended that this approach be expanded over time to include additional hotspots. For many of the 2.8 million servicemen and women who served in Vietnam, the conflict is still ongoing here at home. These suffering veterans believe that their exposure to Agent Orange caused their skin problems, malignancies, neurological disorders, and congenital maladies that affect some of their children. Frequently, the connection has not been proven beyond a reasonable doubt. Research on the impacts of Agent Orange frequently employs wording that is not quite definitive. For example, several ailments are reported to be associated with exposure to dioxin, or a presumptive relationship exists. Nevertheless, over time, the US government's opposition to making any kind of connection between the dots has faded. A suspected connection to diseases like non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, soft tissue sarcoma, and chloroquine was acknowledged by the Agent Orange Act of 1991. Veterans suffering from those conditions were granted medical care and financial support without requiring them to provide evidence of their exposure to herbicides. Prostate cancer and Hodgkin's disease were among the more than a dozen other illnesses that were gradually added to this list throughout time. Nor is the story finished. Some veterans, such as sailors who served on ships off the coast of Vietnam and airmen who worked on potentially contaminated military aircrafts that were used for other purposes after the war, are suing for compensation for their physical hardships despite never having set foot on Vietnamese soil. From 1968 to 1970, Admiral Zumwalt oversaw US naval troops in Vietnam before taking on the role of head of naval operations. He gave the order to spray Agent Orange. Around the same time as his father, the son was in Vietnam leading a Navy patrol boat. Doctors discovered years later that he had both Hodgkin's disease and lymphoma. At 42, he passed away in 1988. Elmo IV, his son, was born with congenital abnormalities. Waterloo soldiers were ground up to fertilizer. Thousands of individuals and the unavoidable remnants of war covered the battlefield after Napoleon's famous loss at Waterloo in 1815. However, what became of all those lifeless individuals? The site has produced only one complete skeleton, which has puzzled researchers. According to modern accounts, some French remains were thrown into mass mounds, while others were burned by nearby villagers. Additionally, other stories explain how bones that were strewn were gathered and crushed into meal for use as fertilizer. Tony Pollard, head of the University of Glasgow's Centre for Battlefield Archaeology, is especially intrigued by the last allegation. In an attempt to identify the locations of the missing mound sites on the battlefield at Waterloo, he has studied historical source materials, such as early visitors' memoirs and notebooks and artwork. In a recent publication that was published in the Journal of Conflict Archaeology, he gave an update on his work to date. Napoleon was first overthrown and removed from power as France's emperor in 1814, and he was banished to the Mediterranean island of Elba. For a brief period in March 1815, now known as the 100 Days, he came back to power. The Seventh Coalition was made up of several states that opposed his rule, including a bigger Prussian army commanded by Field Marshal von Blücher and a multinational army under the British commander, the Duke of Wellington. At Waterloo, those were the armies that faced up against Napoleon's Armée du Nord. Although the exact start time of the fight is still up for debate, Wellington's reports from June 18th suggest that Napoleon commenced a furious attack upon the post at Hougoumont at around 10 in the morning. This was one of the major places on the battlefield at Waterloo, a big country mansion partially hidden by trees. For 8 hours, there was ceaseless combat at several locations. Ultimately, Wellington's forces lost about 15,000, compared to 7,000 for Blücher's soldiers. The situation for Napoleon's army was worse. Between 24,000 and 26,000 men lost their lives or were injured, with many more being taken prisoner. Over the following days, 15,000 more French soldiers deserted. This resulted in an enormous cleanup job. According to one modern report, on June 22nd, the battlefield was a sight too horrible to behold. It was written by Major Fry. Fry recalled the multitude of individuals, the heaps of wounded men with mangled limbs unable to move and perishing from not having their wounds dressed or from hunger. Following the soldiers' removal of weapons, clothing and other goods from the soldiers, residents and visitors scurried to recover as many mementos as they could: hats, leather fragments, grape-shot rounds, letters, book pages, and, in one case, a genuine Waterloo thumb nail. Some extracted the deceased's teeth with pliers, so they could be sold abroad to make denture replacements. Waterloo teeth were extremely valuable because they originated from young, healthy men who had lost their lives in battle. Following their stripping, fallen soldiers' bodies were usually burned, buried, or allowed to break down naturally during the Napoleonic Wars, with scavengers like wolves and vultures hastening the process. There are tidings that local peasants were employed to clean up after Waterloo, burying allies in mass mounds and pits and setting French soldiers ablaze. A Hougoumont visitor saw pyres in flames that were fed solely by human fat. There was a heap of thighs, arms and legs, and about 50 labourers were using long forks to rake the flames and the bones while wearing handkerchiefs over their noses. Pollard's investigation focused on reports of visible bone collection and grinding for fertiliser. He has identified the locations of 3 mass mounds that were reported by visitors to have as many as 13,000 individuals. He believes that many of the fallen soldiers were buried in these mounds, which may have had thousands of individuals. Additionally, Pollard discovered at least 3 newspaper articles from the era that detailed the custom of stealing human remains and selling them for fertiliser. For example, the London Observer reported in 1822 that more than 1 million bushels of human and inhuman bones had been brought into the port city of Hull, United Kingdom, from Europe. On the basis of these accounts, backed up by the well-attested importance of bone meal in the practice of agriculture, the emptying of mass mounds at Waterloo in order to obtain bones seems feasible and the likely conclusion. Given that they would have known the locations, locals may have pointed vendors of bones towards the mass mound sites. They might have even contributed to the excavation. Nevertheless, at the Hougoumont site, Pollard's hypothesis has only been supported by circumstantial archaeological evidence, and conclusive historical source analysis is needed to reach a conclusion regarding the claim's validity. In order to reconcile the locations of sites with those recorded in the historical source materials, Pollard feels that more fieldwork is necessary. The Waterloo Uncovered Charity, where Pollard is the archaeological director, will carry out an extensive geophysical survey beyond Hougoumont into larger tracts of the battlefield. This pivotal battle, involving the armies of Britain, Prussia, and their allies against Napoleon's French forces, had profound and lasting effects on European politics, society, and the course of history. The aftermath of Waterloo reshaped the European continent, established new political orders, and influenced the modern world in numerous ways. The Battle of Waterloo brought about a significant reconfiguration of the European political landscape. Napoleon's defeat ended over 2 decades of continuous warfare that had engulfed Europe and led to the restoration of monarchies and the re-establishment of a conservative order. The Battle of Waterloo also had profound implications for military strategies and tactics. The lessons learned from this battle influenced military thought and practices for generations. Napoleon's defeat highlighted the limitations of his military strategies, which had relied heavily on rapid maneuvers, massed artillery, and the shock value of cavalry charges. The Allied victory at Waterloo demonstrated the effectiveness of defensive tactics, disciplined infantry formations, and coordinated coalition warfare. This led to a gradual decline in the use of Napoleonic tactics and a shift towards more modern forms of warfare. Waterloo underscored the importance of coalition warfare, where multiple nations combine their military resources and strategic planning to achieve a common objective. The success of the British and Prussian alliance against Napoleon set a precedent for future military coalitions and alliances, shaping the way wars were fought in the 19th and 20th centuries. The economic landscape of Europe also changed significantly after the Battle of Waterloo. The end of the Napoleonic Wars allowed for economic recovery and growth, but it also presented challenges. The prolonged wars had devastated European economies, disrupting trade, depleting resources, and causing widespread destruction. The end of the Napoleonic Wars opened the door for economic recovery and the resumption of international trade. Countries began to rebuild their economies, restore infrastructure, and re-establish trade relationships, leading to a period of economic growth and industrialization. The battle also marked a turning point in financial stability. Britain's financial strategies during the war, including the establishment of the gold standard and the use of government bonds, set a precedent for modern financial systems. The post-war period saw the stabilization of European currencies and the development of financial institutions that facilitated economic stability and growth. The aftermath of the Battle of Waterloo influenced cultural and intellectual movements, shaping the way people thought about war, society, and politics. The Battle of Waterloo was a watershed moment that brought an end to the Napoleonic Wars and ushered in significant changes across Europe and the world. Politically, it led to the restoration of monarchies and the establishment of a new European order through the Congress of Vienna. Militarily, it influenced the evolution of warfare and the decline of Napoleonic tactics. Economically, it paved the way for recovery and the stabilization of financial systems. Culturally, it inspired movements like Romanticism and nationalism, shaping the intellectual and social landscape of the 19th century.